Well, it says we are live. All right, cool. Well, hello everyone. Welcome. This is Torah portion with the Grants, and today we are going to be doing Torah portion Vayetze. Is that how you say that? I don't know. let me see. All right, Vayetze. All right. So this is Genesis 28:10 through 32:2. And Hosea 12:12 through 14:10, and John 1:41 through 51. And once again, this is just us reading the Bible out loud, declaring the Word of God out loud, trying to get into a weekly habit of it. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. How are you liking doing the Torah portion each week? Yeah, it's pretty good. And we're not adding a lot of our own thoughts. We're not just trying to teach. We're just trying to read and get the Word declared out loud for our own good. And if you're reading along with us, we're happy to have you join us. So today's portion, Vayetze, I put in the title Housewives Edition because this funny video I found actually has it in the title. It's from this channel called Bim Bam, and it kind of goes through very quickly what the portion's about. And I'm going to go ahead and play it so we can kind of get a recap if we haven't read it earlier this week before we read through it together.
When we last left Jacob, he was running away from his twin brother Esau after having stolen his birthright. That act of deception, which involved Jacob's impersonating Esau in front of his blind father, Isaac, was committed at the urging of Jacob's mother, Rebekah. On his way to Haran, where he hoped to find family and therefore someone to marry, Jacob stopped for a rest, using a stone for a pillow. While he slept, he dreamed of angels ascending and descending a ladder to heaven. Jacob awoke and named the place Bethel, the house of God. He then took the stone pillow, set it upright, and poured oil on it, which was how you built a monument back in biblical days. Continuing on the road, Jacob came to a well. He saw a maiden approaching and discovered from the locals that she was his cousin Rachel. Possessed by superhuman strength, Jacob rolled the stone cover off the well, a job which usually took many men, and he watered Rachel's sheep. Then he kissed her, cried, and told her they were related. Rachel ran to tell her father Laban. Jacob agreed to work 7 years for Laban in exchange for Rachel's hand in marriage. But at the wedding, Laban, who was a notorious trickster, substituted his older daughter Leah as Jacob's bride. Laban explained that the local custom was to marry off the older daughter first, but that Rachel was still available for another 7 years of labor. But Jacob was a man in love, so he agreed. 14 years may seem like a lot for 2 wives, but he also received 2 bonus companions, with Leah, her handmaiden Zilpah, and with Rachel, her handmaiden Bilhah. Having sisters as wives might sound convenient, but as the story clearly illustrates, it quite literally breeds problems. Leah begins to bear children, and Rachel develops extreme jealousy. So continues an epic sisterly competition, not just over affection from the same man, but over fertility. Welcome to Jacob's marital life. Jacob loved Rachel more, so God gave Leah 4 children, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Meantime, Rachel, who wasn't getting pregnant, decided to give her handmaiden Bilhah to Jacob to have children on her behalf. Bilhah bore Jacob 2 sons, Dan and Naphtali, who were named by Rachel. But it didn't end there. The pregnancy wars continued. When Leah realized she wasn't having more children, she gave her handmaiden Zilpah to Jacob to become pregnant on her behalf, resulting in the births of Gad and Asher, named and claimed by Leah. Team Leah, 6. Team Rachel, 2. Sort of. Leah then becomes pregnant again, bearing Issachar and Zebulun, number 7 and 8 if you're still counting. Then she bears a daughter, Dinah, who doesn't count as one of the sons of Jacob for obvious reasons. Finally, Rachel bears a son and names him Joseph. Total for this Torah portion, Team Leah, 8. Team Rachel, 3, sort of. That's 11 out of the 12 sons who will become Israel's 12 tribes. Jacob has come a long way from being the lonely man on the road to Haran, but he has gotten there only after years of intricate family dynamics and baby mama drama. But despite his apparent loneliness on the road, the text indicates, Jacob is guarded on his journey by angels. Despite the deception, he meets a woman at the well and falls instantly in love. Despite the jealousy, deception, and drama that emerge from his relationships, Jacob perseveres out of a desire to create a family and spiritual home. Through Jacob's actions and the actions of his sons in the Torah portions ahead, the Jewish people arrive in Egypt, and it is the exodus from Egypt which creates a desire to move from spiritual or literal exile to a homeland of equality and freedom. As Jacob learned, sometimes you have to leave home to find home.
All right. So that was the Real Housewives of Canaan from the channel Bim Bam. And I guess my only critique would be that I don't think Jacob would have been clean shaven. He probably would have had some whiskers at least. That's my guess. At least that's what all the cartoons depict him as, is a bearded, white big beard. Anyways, that was kind of interesting. The War of the Wives and the battle was with children. That's okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and read that portion and, yeah, let's get into it. So, Sierra, do you want to start?
Sure.
And we're starting in, I believe it's chapter 28, verse 10, and we're going to 32:2.
And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran, and he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it, and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken of to thee. Excuse me. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid, and said, How dreadful is this place! There is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning, and took the stone that he had put for his pillows, and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of that city was called Luz at the first. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, If God will be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the tenth unto thee.
Right, chapter 29. Hey, and shalom to those people in the chat. Thanks for tuning in and reading along with us. This is the first time I think I've ever gave a chat call out. But for you guys to be tuning in live, that's awesome. We appreciate you taking your time to read along with us. So shalom. Here we go, chapter 29. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field. And lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, for out of that well they watered the flocks. A great stone was upon the well's mouth, and thither was all the flocks gathered. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in its place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And they said, Of Haran we are. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither it is time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, We cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together, until they roll the stone from the well's mouth, when we water the sheep. And while he yet spake with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. And Laban said unto Jacob, Because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel, and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel thy younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee, than I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, but the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening, that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him, and went unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for an handmaiden. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived, and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, Surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction, now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again, and bare a son. And said, Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and she said, Now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing.
And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Jacob, Give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and said, Am I in God's stead, who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? And she said, Behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid to wife, and Jacob went in unto her, and Bilhah conceived, and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore she called his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, With great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, A troop cometh, and she called his name Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, Happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and he brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband, and wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him. and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the 5th son. And Leah said, God hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob the 6th son. And Leah said, God hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bare a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived, and bare him a son, and said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, and said, The Lord shall add to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, Send me away, that I may go unto mine own place, into my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go. For thou knowest my service which I have done thee. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, Appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now when shall I provide for mine own house also? And he said, What shall I give thee? And Jacob said, Thou shalt not give me anything, for if thou wilt do this thing, I will again feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. And Laban said, Behold, I would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-straked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. And Jacob took him rods of green poplar, and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and pilled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had pilled before the flocks in the gutters and the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle ring-straked and speckled and spotted. And Jacob did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in, so the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maid servants and men servants, and camels and asses.
31. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and that which was our father's hath he gotten all his glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not towards him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not towards me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father, and your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, The speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And if he said thus, The ring-straked shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ring-straked. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes, and saw in a dream, Behold, the rams which leapt upon the cattle were ring-streaked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes, and see all the rams which lit upon the cattle are ring-streaked, and speckled, and grizzled, for I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowest a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's now then, whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. Then Jacob rose up, and set his sons and his wives upon camels. And he carried away all his cattle and all his goods, which he had gotten the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he had fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river, and set his face towards the Mount Gilead. It was told Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob was fled, and he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him on the Mount Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore didst thou flee secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth, with songs, with tabret, and with harp? Hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and daughters? Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now thou wouldest needs to be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house. Yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Peradventure thou wouldest take me by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live, for our brethren discern thou wouldest thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went unto Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the 2 maidservants' tent, but he found them not. Then he went out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of woman is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. And Jacob was wroth, and chode with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? And whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all my household stuff? Set it here before my brethren, and they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flocks have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it, in my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sheep departed from mine eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear Isaac had been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone, and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones, and made a heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar Saadutha, but Jacob called it Galid. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it Galid. And Mizpah, for he said, The Lord watched between me and thee when we are absent from one another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives besides my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and them. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be a witness, and this pillar be a witness, and I will not pass over this heap to thee, and then thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mountain, and called his brethren eat bread. And they did eat, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departed, bless you, and returned unto his place. And Jacob went away on his way, and the angel of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, This is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. All right, let me just double check here, make sure I got all of it. Yeah, 32:2. All right, so it looks like our next part of this portion, as you can see here on torahportions.ffoz.org, is Hosea 12 through 14:10. All right, we're just going to turn to there real quick. And Sierra is going to start us off here.
12.
Yeah, Hosea 12
through 14.
Yes.
And Jacob fled into the country of Syria, and Israel. What? And Jacob fled into the country of Syria, and Israel served for a wife, and for a wife he kept sheep. And by a prophet the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt, and by a prophet was he preserved. Ephraim provoked him to anger most bitterly. Therefore shall he leave his blood upon him, and his reproach shall his Lord return unto him.
Where
13 to 14.
12. Okay, all
Goes
right.
to the end.
Then Ephraim spake trembling. He exalted himself in Israel. But when he offered in Baal, he died. And now they sin more and more, and they have made molten images of their silver and idols, according to their own understanding, all of it the work of the craftsmen. They say of them, Let the men that sacrifice kiss the calves. Therefore they shall be as the morning cloud, and as the early dew that passes the way, as the chaff that is driven with the whirlwind out of the floor, as the smoke out of the chimney. Yet I am the Lord thy God from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no God but me, for there is no Saviour besides me. I did know thee in the wilderness, in the land of great drought. According to their pastures, so were they filled, and they were filled. And their heart was exalted, therefore they have forgotten me. Therefore I will be unto them as a lion, as a leopard by the way I will observe them. I will meet them as a bear that is bereaved of her whelps, and I will rend the call of her heart. And I would devour them like a lion, the wild beast shall tear them. O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help. I will be thy king. Where is any other, that may save thee in all thy cities? And thy judges, of whom thou saidst, Give me a king and princes. I gave thee a king in my anger, and took him away in my wrath. The iniquity of Ephraim is bound up, his sin is hid. The sorrows of a travailing woman shall come upon him. He is an unwise son, for he should not stay long in the place of the breaking forth of children. I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be thy plagues. O grave, I will be thy destruction. Repentance shall hid from mine eyes. Though he be fruitful among his brethren, an east wind shall come, and the wind of the Lord shall come up from the wilderness, and his spring shall become dry, and his fountain shall be dried up, and he shall spoil the treasure of all the pleasant vessels. Samaria shall become desolate, for she hath rebelled against her God. They shall fall by the sword, their infants shall be dashed in pieces, and their women with child shall be ripped up. 10 verses into 14.
O Israel, return unto the Lord thy God, for thou hast fallen by thy iniquity. Take with you words, and turn to the Lord, and say to him, Take away all iniquity, and receive us graciously, so will we render the calves of our lips. Asher shall not save us. We will not ride upon horses, neither will we say any more to the work of our hands, Ye are our gods, for in thee the fatherless findeth mercy. I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for mine anger is turned away from him. I will be as the dew unto Israel. He shall grow as the lily, and cast forth his roots as Lebanon. His branches shall spread, and his beauty shall be as the olive tree, and his smell as Lebanon. They that dwell under his shadow shall return. They shall revive as the corn, and grow as the vine. The scent thereof shall be as the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim shall say, What have I to do any more with idols? I have heard him and observed him. I am like a green fir tree. From me is thy fruit found. Who is wise, and he shall understand these things? Prudent, and he shall know them. For the ways of the Lord are right, and the just shall walk in them, but the transgressors shall fall therein. Get my tongue tied.
All right, next part is John 1:41 through 51. I'll finish up here. As you're turning to that, let me jump over here, see if there's anybody in the chat talking to us. Yeah, I see some people right now. Hey, what's up, Sherry? And I see Chance, Bowman 82, JJ, Youngblood. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Shabbat Shalom. All right. Anyways, all right. So we're going to go ahead and read this 41 through 51. He first findeth his own brother Simon, and said unto him, We have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted, the Christ. And he brought him to Jesus. And when Jesus beheld him, he said, Thou art Simon, the son of Jonah. Thou shalt be called Cephas, which is by interpretation a stone. The day following, Jesus would go forth into Galilee, and findeth Philip, and said unto him, Follow me. Now Philip was of Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. And Philip findeth Nathanael, and said unto him, We have found of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And Nathanael said unto him, well, I completely forgot my last. Okay, 51. And Nathanael said unto him, Can there be any good come out of Nazareth? And Philip said unto him, Come and see. Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him, and saith of him, Behold an Israelite indeed, in whom is no guile. Nathanael saith unto him, Whence knowest thou me? And Jesus answered and said unto him, Before that Philip called thee, when thou wast under the fig tree, I saw thee. And Nathanael answered and saith unto him, Rabbi, thou art the Son of God, thou art the King of Israel. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Because I said unto thee, I saw thee under the fig tree, believest thou? Thou shalt see greater things than these. And he saith unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter ye shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. Which kind of harkens back to the vision Jacob had of the angels going up and down that heavenly ladder. A thought that this brings up that I wanted to mention is we've been recently watching the Chosen series. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. I know you can watch the first episode for free on YouTube, but one of the best kind of messianic, TV show breakdowns of some of the Gospels that I've seen. Of course, it's got interpolation in there, and they got some things that some people might disagree with. But in terms of just a great representation of the story, we've been watching that, so it just kind of reminds me of some of the things we've been seeing in that show. So that's kind of cool. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in with Torah portion with the Grants. We enjoy reading through the Bible and just reading out loud. We don't have to add anything to it because it's, as is, it has a lot of blessing for us. So I'm just going to pray real quick. Father, allow us to seek after your way for our lives in the same way that Jacob did whenever he had those amazing dreams that kind of led him on his path. Father, I ask that you speak to each and every one of us, Sierra and I, and anybody watching this. Father, give us dreams and visions of the way in our life that you would want us to walk on. Father, speak to us, draw us close to you. Father, I ask for forgiveness of sins. Father, thank you for Yahushua. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for the Messiah. And Father, help us bring the kingdom of heaven to here and now in everything that we do. and allow us to draw close to you and live out your word. And I ask all these things in Yahushua's name, amen. So, thank you guys for tuning in to Torah Portion with the Grants. I enjoyed this one. This is the Real Housewives of Canaan. So, all right, I'm done. All right, see you guys next time. Oh, and I'm going to be putting up a new worship that we just did our monthly Shabbat fellowship. I think I'm going to start posting details. So if any of you who are in our local vicinity want to start coming to a monthly Shabbat gathering on the first Saturday of every month, you can get information. I'll be putting that out on my Facebook page. And I'm going to be dropping a new worship later tonight. So look out for that. And we'll see you guys next time. Shabbat Shalom.